Great speech. Our next speaker, I'd like to introduce Kenevieve Buchan. She's a single mom of 2 girls, and she's fighting for the rights of her 2 children.
Good evening, elected officials, honored judges, and welcome guests. My name is Kenevieve Buchan. Today, I'd like to direct your attention to the negative impact that Children's Services is having on today's generation through some of my personal experiences. I'd like to offer suggestions that may benefit other present and future clients and their true family needs simply by not violating their basic human rights. The services that I received did not, Deleco Child and Family Services was incorporated on July 23, 1986 with the mandate to develop and implement a child welfare system to strengthen and maintain Anishinaabe families. I am a former client of Deleco Child and Family Services, voluntarily and involuntarily, and that has made me into the survivor and educator that I am today. The services that I received did not include any strengthening, maintaining, nor support. Instead, I was coaxed by lies, deceit, trickery, manipulation, and coercion. My workers were too distracted, focusing solely on finding ways to incriminate me instead of actually helping me. The Child and Family Services Act clearly states that the legislation requires children aid societies to investigate allegations or evidence involving children 16 and under that are in need of protection, and to also provide this protection, guidance, counseling, and other services to the families for protecting the children or for the prevention of circumstances requiring the protection of these children. Sadly, that includes malicious callers. I understand that the duty to report by mandated reporters, but these calls are made on assumptions and suspicion, not facts. 5 times my children's school has called in as mandated reporters claiming my lack of food at home. Every investigation pertaining to that, the findings concluded that I did have sufficient food for the time of month that it was. I find that to be a waste of a resource. Majority of calls made today to CPS are indeed malicious. These calls are typically made by enemies, frenemies, disgruntled neighbors, angry family members, or ex-spouses just looking to start trouble. What I don't understand is how and why do malicious callers hold so much ground without probable cause? The Children's Aid webpage states that when calls are made to these agencies that they look into the information provided and then they determine if the investigation needs pursuing. In all my experiences, the workers claim that they must investigate me as part of their investigation. But this time, I am not as naive. This time, I know my rights due to those previous violations. They are to investigate prior to knocking on my door. My basic human rights tell me that I have the right to remain silent, that I have the right to privacy, and so do my children. That there are no automatic rights entrusted to CPS to interview my children without my consent. That I do have the right to not sign anything. That I do have the right to legal representation, and that I do have the right to access my file that I was once denied due to their belief of my malicious intent. After proving myself beyond their unreasonable doubt before the courts in 2011, I continue to prove myself 1 to 2 times a year for the last 4 years due to the fact that malicious calls will keep coming in regardless of what good I do. And the investigating continues to this current day, as just previously another phone call was made on me. In the real world, the legal definition is perjury when an individual willfully makes a false statement. How and why is there no accountability to this? The Human Rights Policy and the Human Rights Code in Ontario states that it is public policy to recognize the dignity and worth of every person and to provide equal rights and opportunities without discrimination. The aim is to create a climate of understanding and mutual respect for the dignity and worth of each person so that each person feels a part of their community and feels able to contribute to their community. I'd like to make a suggestion in regards to the way that abuse and neglect is reported. I'd like to suggest that the legislation and mandate be amended. We need this in order to protect the parents' rights from the constant threat of the child welfare system, like myself, especially when malicious calls are made by faceless, nameless people not willing to verify their said accusation. This could be verified simply by having that caller sign a sworn affidavit that their testimony is in fact true. Now we can have accountability. Socially, mentally, and emotionally, this affects people in a negative manner, not by choice. When people's guards go up, it's fight or flight. And being on the receiving end of those calls creates an unimaginable stress that can literally make me or break me. This time, I choose to fight back. This time, I'm going to let it make me. Madam Chair.
Awesome. I'd like to introduce our next evaluator.
Thank you for that awesome speech. You were really strong in your emotion, and your courage and honesty really got my attention. It's a very difficult story to tell, and I'm really grateful to you for sharing that. I hope you got the opportunity to make that exact speech to people who can really listen to it and make some changes in policy. Thanks so much for sharing.